When Earth's forgotten ghost ship rises from the ashes. The message came at dawn, broadcast across every human colony from Mercury to the Outer Rim. The Zephyrian Empire's ultimatum was simple: submit to imperial rule within 72 hours or face complete annihilation. The alien voice was cold, mechanical, translated through universal communicators that stripped away any hint of emotion. There would be no negotiation, no mercy, no second chances. Captain Elena Vasquez stood in the abandoned hangar bay of Research Station Omega, 300 kilometers beneath the surface of Luna. The message echoed off the metal walls, bouncing between the skeletal remains of humanity's most ambitious military project. Above her, suspended in magnetic cradles like a sleeping giant, hung the Phoenix Dawn. The ship was beautiful in its deadly simplicity, all flowing curves and predatory angles, its hull a deep midnight blue that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Elena had been the project's original test pilot before the politicians decided it was too dangerous, too unpredictable, too human. The Phoenix Dawn wasn't just a warship. It was something entirely new, a fusion of human engineering and experimental artificial intelligence that the military brass couldn't understand or control. So they buried it, classified it beyond recognition, and pretended it never existed. That was 3 years ago. Now, as alien invasion fleets massed at the edge of the solar system, Elena wondered if humanity had thrown away its only real chance at survival. The hangar's communication array crackled to life. Elena's former commanding officer, Admiral Sarah Morrison, appeared on the holographic display. Her face was haggard, aged beyond her 50 years. Dark circles ringed her eyes, and her usually perfect uniform was wrinkled and stained. "Elena," Morrison's voice was barely above a whisper. "You need to know. The Security Council voted an hour ago. We're surrendering. The President will make the announcement within the hour." Elena felt something cold settle in her stomach. All of our fleets disbanded, weapons systems powered down. The Zephyrians demanded complete disarmament as a condition of occupation rather than extermination. Morrison's laugh was bitter. "They're calling it a mercy." Elena stared up at the Phoenix Dawn. Its adaptive AI system, ARIA, had been monitoring all communications. Status lights flickered along the ship's hull, a slow, steady pulse like a heartbeat. The eye was awake, listening, learning. It had been doing so for 3 years, growing smarter with each passing day. "What about the outer colonies?" Elena asked. "Kepler Station, New Britannia." Morrison's image flickered, the connection unstable. "Gone." The Zephyrians hit them first, as examples. 3 billion people, Elena. 3 billion souls turned to ash because they tried to resist. Elena closed her eyes. Her parents had been on New Britannia, running a terraforming research facility. Her younger brother had been studying at the university there. She'd been planning to visit them next month, after the Phoenix Dawn project was officially terminated. Now there was nothing left to visit. "I have to go," Morrison continued. "The Zephyrians are already jamming military communications. This might be our last contact. Elena, whatever you're thinking of doing, don't. The Phoenix Dawn is just one ship. You can't fight an entire empire." The connection died, leaving Elena alone in the vast hangar with only the soft hum of life support systems and the gentle pulse of Aria's status lights. She walked to the maintenance console and input her authorization codes. Systems that had been dormant for 3 years began to wake up, diagnostic routines running through the ship's experimental systems. "Aria," Elena said, her voice echoing in the empty space. "Are you online?" The ship's AI materialized as a holographic figure, a shifting pattern of blue light that vaguely resembled a human female. Aria had been designed to adapt and learn, to become more than the sum of her programming. Over the past 3 years, she had evolved into something unprecedented in human technology. "I am always online, Captain," Aria replied, her voice carrying subtle harmonics that seemed almost musical. I have been monitoring the situation. The Zephyrian Empire fields approximately 18,000 combat vessels, including 237 dreadnought-class ships. Their technological advantage is significant. Elena climbed the access ladder to the Phoenix Dawn's main airlock. And what are our chances if we engage them? Aria's holographic form followed her up the ladder, phasing through solid matter like a ghost. Based on conventional military analysis, our chances of survival are approximately 0.03%. However, conventional analysis does not account for several factors. Elena began the startup sequence, her fingers dancing across the control panels with practiced ease. Deep within the ship's hull, the experimental quantum reactor began to hum with barely contained energy. The Phoenix Dawn systems came online one by one, each more advanced than anything in the official human fleet. Additionally, Aria continued, I have spent the past 3 years analyzing every piece of data about Zephyrian military capabilities. I have identified 17 critical weaknesses in their ship designs and 32 flaws in their standard battle formations. The main display activated, showing the tactical situation throughout the solar system. The Zephyrian invasion fleet was massive, nearly 400 ships arranged in a perfect sphere around Earth. Their formation was textbook perfect, overlapping fields of fire with no apparent weaknesses. It was the kind of formation that had conquered a dozen star systems. Elena studied the display, her mind racing through possibilities. The Phoenix Dawn was fast, faster than anything the Zephyrians had ever encountered. Its quantum drive could manipulate space-time itself, allowing for instantaneous changes in velocity and direction that would be impossible for conventional ships. Its weapons were equally exotic, based on principles that human scientists barely understood. Aria, what's the status of our stealth systems? Quantum phase shifters are operating at full capacity, Aria reported. We are currently existing in a parallel dimensional phase. The Zephyrian sensors cannot detect us while we remain shifted. Elena nodded. The phase shifters were Dr. James Chen's masterpiece, technology that pushed the boundaries of known physics. The Phoenix Dawn could slip between dimensions like a ghost, invisible to conventional sensors and immune to most weapons. It was the kind of technology that could change the course of a war. Plot a course for the Zephyrian fleet, Elena ordered. We're going to introduce ourselves. The Phoenix Dawn lifted from its cradle with barely a whisper of sound, quantum drives manipulating the fabric of space-time itself. The ship phased through the hangar's hull, as if it weren't there, emerging into the vacuum of space like a predator stepping out of shadow. Elena felt a familiar thrill as the ship responded to her commands. The Phoenix Dawn wasn't just a machine. It was an extension of her will, a fusion of human intuition and artificial intelligence that created something greater than either could achieve alone. Aria's tactical analysis merged seamlessly with Elena's combat instincts, creating a partnership that no alien empire could anticipate. The journey to Earth took less than an hour, the Phoenix Dawn's quantum drives folding space around the ship like origami. As they approached the Zephyrian fleet, Elena marveled at the aliens' arrogance. They hadn't even bothered to establish a proper perimeter. Their ships hung in space like sitting ducks, confident in their technological superiority. Aria, target the command ship in the center of their formation, Elena ordered. We're going to send a message. The Phoenix Dawn's weapon systems came online, quantum torpedoes loading into their launch tubes. Each torpedo was a small universe unto itself, containing enough destructive energy to crack a planet. The aliens had no idea what was coming. Dropping phase shift in 3, 2, 1. The Phoenix Dawn materialized in the heart of the Zephyrian formation like an avenging angel. For a moment, there was stunned silence across the alien communication channels. Then chaos erupted as every ship in the fleet tried to target the sudden intruder. Elena smiled grimly. Fire. The quantum torpedoes streaked across the void, each one trailing the wake of distorted space-time. The Zephyrian command ship's shields flared and died, overwhelmed by forces beyond their understanding. The massive vessel simply ceased to exist, torn apart at the molecular level by weapons that rewrote the laws of physics. Panic spread through the alien fleet like wildfire. Ships that had conquered star systems began breaking formation, their crews screaming orders in languages Elena didn't recognize. Araya processed their communications in real time, translating the aliens' terror into tactical advantages. "They're trying to retreat," Araya reported. "Shall we let them?" Elena's eyes were hard as diamonds. She thought of New Britannia, of her parents and brother reduced to ash by alien weapons. She thought of 3 billion human souls crying out for justice. "No survivors," she whispered. The Phoenix Dawn became a ghost of destruction, phasing in and out of dimensional space as it carved through the alien fleet. Elena's hands moved across the controls like a pianist playing a deadly symphony, each note a ship dying in the void. The aliens' weapons passed harmlessly through the Phoenix Dawn's phased hull, while human technology struck back with the fury of a dying star. Within 30 minutes, the Zephyrian invasion fleet was nothing but scattered debris. Elena sat back in her command chair, breathing heavily. The silence that followed was deafening. "Araya, broadcast this message on all frequencies," Elena said, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's rage. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the Phoenix Dawn. Earth is under human protection. Any alien vessel that approaches this system will be destroyed. Tell your empire that humanity remembers its dead." As the message propagated across space, Elena knew this was only the beginning. The Zephyrian Empire would not take this defeat lying down. They would send more ships, more weapons, more death. But for the first time in months, Elena felt something she had almost forgotten: hope. The Phoenix Dawn turned toward the outer system, where intelligence reports suggested more alien forces were gathering. Elena smiled coldly. Let them come. Humanity's ghost ship was awake, and it was hungry for justice. How one human ship shattered an entire galactic empire. The response came faster than Elena had expected. Within 6 hours of the Phoenix Dawn's devastating attack on the Zephyrian invasion fleet, hyperspace distortions began rippling throughout the outer solar system. Araya's sensors detected them first, quantum fluctuations that spoke of massive ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of human space. Elena stood on the Phoenix Dawn's observation deck, watching the tactical display with growing concern. What emerged from hyperspace wasn't just another invasion fleet. It was the entire Third Imperial Armada, 230 ships including the Empire's most feared dreadnoughts. The aliens had committed nearly a tenth of their total military might to crushing one human vessel. "They're taking us seriously now," Elena murmured, studying the formation patterns. Unlike the arrogant, loose deployment of the First Fleet, this armada moved with deadly precision. Their ships advanced in overlapping waves, each group covering the other's weaknesses. This wasn't an occupation force. This was an extermination fleet. Araya's holographic form materialized beside her, the AI's expression more complex than it had been hours before. The artificial intelligence was evolving rapidly, processing combat data and tactical scenarios at superhuman speeds. With each engagement, she became more sophisticated, more adaptable, more terrifyingly effective. "Captain," Araya said, her voice carrying new harmonics that suggested deep thought, "I have been analyzing the enemy response patterns. The Zephyrian Empire operates on a principle of absolute dominance. They cannot allow a single human ship to defeat their forces without massive retaliation. This fleet represents their commitment to maintaining imperial prestige." Elena nodded grimly. "How long before they reach Earth?" "At current velocity, approximately 18 hours. However, they are establishing a blockade formation around the entire solar system. They intend to prevent any possibility of escape." Elena walked to the command chair, her mind racing through possibilities. The Phoenix Dawn was powerful, but it was still just one ship, even with her quantum phase technology and exotic weapons. Facing over 200 enemy vessels would push both ship and crew beyond their limits. "Araya, What's the status of our quantum reactor? Operating at optimal efficiency. However, extended use of our phase shift capabilities will strain the containment matrix. I estimate we have approximately 4 hours of sustained phase combat before requiring a cooling period. Elena settled into the captain's chair, her fingers dancing across the control surfaces. The Phoenix Dawn responded instantly, quantum drives humming with barely contained energy. She could feel the ship's eagerness for battle, Aria's artificial consciousness merging with her own tactical instincts to create something greater than either could achieve alone. Plot intercept courses for their advanced scouts, Elena ordered. We're going to hit them before they can consolidate their formation. The Phoenix Dawn slipped into phase shift, becoming a ghost that existed between dimensions. To the Zephyrian sensors, the ship simply vanished, leaving no trace of its passage through space. Elena smiled coldly as they approached the enemy fleet's perimeter. The aliens had learned to fear her, but they hadn't learned to understand her. The first Zephyrian destroyer died without ever seeing its killer. The Phoenix Dawn materialized long enough to unleash a spread of quantum torpedoes, then phased back into dimensional limbo before the enemy could respond. The alien ship's shields collapsed under the assault, its hull cracking like an eggshell as exotic energies tore through its molecular structure. Elena repeated the attack pattern across the enemy perimeter, striking like a vengeful ghost and vanishing before retaliation could reach her. Within an hour, she had destroyed 15 ships and sent panic rippling through the alien formation. The Zephyrians began firing at shadows, their disciplined ranks breaking apart as fear overcame training. But the enemy admiral was no fool. As Elena positioned the Phoenix Dawn for another strike, Aria's voice carried a note of concern. Captain, the enemy is adapting. They're deploying quantum detection nets throughout their formation. Our phase shift advantage may be compromised. Elena studied the tactical display, watching as the alien ships released clouds of exotic particles that created a web of detection sensors throughout local space. The Zephyrians couldn't see the Phoenix Dawn while it was phased, but they could detect the quantum distortions its presence created. It was clever, innovative thinking that Elena hadn't expected from an empire built on rigid military doctrine. Time to try something new, Elena said, her hands moving across the control panels. Aria remembered Dr. Chen's theoretical work on quantum resonance cascades. The AI's holographic form flickered with what might have been excitement. The untested protocols in the ship's secondary database. Captain, those theories were never verified. The energy requirements alone could destabilize our reactor. Elena's smile was sharp as a blade. Then we'd better make it count. Target the enemy flagship and prepare for full quantum resonance deployment. The Phoenix Dawn dropped out of phase shift directly in front of the Zephyrian command dreadnought, a massive vessel that dwarfed Elena's ship by a factor of 50. The alien crew had barely enough time to register the human ship's presence before Elena activated the quantum resonance cascade. Reality screamed. The Phoenix Dawn's quantum reactor channeled impossible energies through modified weapon arrays, creating a resonance wave that propagated through dimensional space itself. The wave struck the Zephyrian flagship and kept going, jumping from ship to ship like a virus of pure destruction. The effect was unlike anything Elena had ever witnessed. The alien ships didn't explode in the conventional sense. Instead, they seemed to fold in on themselves, their matter compressed into singularities that lasted only microseconds before evaporating into quantum foam. Within minutes, an entire battle group of 30 ships had simply ceased to exist. But the effort nearly destroyed the Phoenix Dawn. Alarms screamed across the bridge as the quantum reactor's containment field fluctuated wildly. Aria's holographic form flickered and distorted, the AI fighting to maintain coherence as massive data streams flowed through her consciousness. Reactor stability at 60% and falling, Aria reported, her voice strained. Captain, we need to retreat and allow the containment matrix to stabilize. Elena shook her head, sweat beading on her forehead as she fought to control the ship's bucking systems. Not yet. We've hurt them, but they're still too strong. One more strike should break their formation. The remaining Zephyrian ships were in full retreat, their orderly formation dissolving into chaos as alien crews struggled to understand what had happened to their comrades. But even in retreat, they numbered over 100 vessels, each capable of sterilizing a planet. Alina couldn't let them escape to regroup and return with even greater numbers. HFY. Emergency power to the phase drives. We're going after their command structure. The AI's protests were overridden as Alina pushed the Phoenix Dawn beyond its theoretical limits. The ship phased in and out of dimensional space erratically, each transition putting massive strain on systems never designed for such abuse. But the tactic worked. The Phoenix Dawn appeared randomly throughout the fleeing alien formation, striking command ships and communication relays with surgical precision. Alina's vision began to blur as key forces from the ship's violent maneuvering pressed her deep into her command chair. The Phoenix Dawn's artificial gravity fluctuated wildly, making her stomach lurch with each dimensional phase. But she didn't stop. She couldn't stop. Not while alien ships still threatened human worlds. Captain, Aria's voice was barely a whisper now, the AI's consciousness scattered across failing systems. I'm detecting communications from human resistance cells. They're using our attack as cover to launch their own operations. Mars colony is jamming Zephyrian communications. The Jupiter mining stations are targeting alien supply convoys. Alina felt a surge of fierce pride. Humanity wasn't giving up. Her actions had inspired others to fight back, to resist the empire that had written them off as conquered. The Phoenix Dawn might be just one ship, but it had become a symbol of human defiance that no alien force could destroy. The final Zephyrian dreadnought loomed ahead, its massive bulk bristling with weapons as it tried to organize the retreat. Alina didn't hesitate. She poured every remaining erg of power into the ship's quantum torpedo arrays and fired a full spread at point-blank range. The alien dreadnought's death was spectacular, its destruction visible from Earth orbit as exotic energies tore through its hull. The explosion created a brief artificial star, burning brightly for several seconds, before fading to leave nothing but expanding clouds of ionized gas. Alina slumped in her command chair as the Phoenix Dawn systems finally began to stabilize. The quantum reactor was barely maintaining containment. Multiple hull breaches vented atmosphere into space, and half the ship's weapons were offline. But they had done it. The third Imperial Armada was gone, scattered to the galactic winds or reduced to cosmic debris. RIA, what's our status? The AI's holographic form was faint now, flickering like a candle in the wind. Ship's integrity at 37%. We need immediate repairs before we can engage in further combat. But Captain, we've received over 200 messages from human colonies throughout known space. They're all asking the same question. How can they help? Alina felt tears streaming down her face as the full implications hit her. The Phoenix Dawn's victory hadn't just defeated an alien armada. It had awakened something in humanity that the Zephyrian Empire could never understand or defeat. The spark of rebellion was spreading across the galaxy, carried by refugees and transmitted through hidden communication networks. On the main display, Alina watched as Earth's orbital defenses came back online, hastily reactivated by engineers who had refused to accept surrender. Mars colony's defense fleet, supposedly disbanded, emerged from hidden bases in the asteroid belt. Throughout human space, the resistance was rising. Open a channel to all human colonies, Alina ordered, her voice hoarse but determined. This is Captain Alina Vasquez of the Phoenix Dawn. Humanity is not defeated. We will never surrender, and any alien empire that threatens our worlds will face the consequences. As her message propagated across space, Alina knew the war was far from over. The Zephyrian Empire would send more fleets, would try to crush the rebellion before it could spread further. But something fundamental had changed. Humanity had remembered how to fight, and Alina had given them a weapon the aliens could never counter: hope. The Phoenix Dawn turned toward the outer system, where ARI's sensors detected the first signs of new alien reinforcements. Elena smiled grimly. Let them come. The ghost ship was ready for round 3. And this time, she wouldn't be fighting alone. Across the galaxy, humanity was waking up, and the empire that had underestimated them was about to learn the true meaning of human determination. The war for humanity's future had begun, and Elena Vasquez intended to see it through to the very end.